A lovely and warm welcome to the news on Hope Channel Zambia television that changes lives. You are catching us live on Topstar channel 450 plus, the movie Bouquet. We are on channel number 25. We are also streaming live on both Facebook and YouTube. The username is Hope Channel Zambia. Let's take a look at stories making headlines in this hour. Blue Sky Alliance has donated 710 kg bags of roller meal to the office of the Vice President meant for flood victims. The Zambia Law Development Commission, ZLDC, has handed over a report on the British Act's extension to the Ministry of Justice. Mutandaza Secondary School in Eastern Province has received a complete girls' dormitory constructed using CDF. Vice President Mutalena Lumango says the country is likely to experience a poor harvest of crops due to dry spell and flash floods. In other news, the Department of National Parks and Wildlife has deployed warders to protect life and elephants causing havoc in Southern Province. These, plus more other stories coming up shortly, to stay with us.
My wife, bumper harvest. Eh?
Daddy,
I'm telling you.
your new fertilizer. Niamini.
Eh?
Iye daddy
Tell you.
Hello. My instructions. Maya kunka bunu mwamene.
I went to ETG, and now we are enjoying the benefits of using a blended D-compound fertilizer as basil and Kynoplus as top dressing fertilizer instead of urea that we used last year. Now look here. This year, it has given me 4 tons. 4 tons. But last year, it was only 1.8 tons. Kynoplus has given all my crops the nitrogen that I paid for. Wow. It has saved me money. Telling you.
Understanding the difference between soil and crop-specific fertilizers, therein lies strength for Kynoplus blended fertilizers. More value in a bag. Available in the ETG depots countrywide, with a network providing agronomy services to farmers across the country. Kynoplus. Enhanced efficiency through innovation. A product of ETG.
Thank you so much for joining us on the news desk. I'm Bright Sinkozi with the details. My sign language interpreter is Sharon Akufuna. The details. Republican Vice President Mutalena Lumango says government cannot manage to support all of the flood victims without the help of other partners. Ms. Nalumango says many victims are in need of aid as they were caught unaware by flash floods, which left them homeless without clothes, blankets, and food. The Vice President was speaking when she received a donation of Milimu from Blue Sky Alliance and at the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU offices in Lusaka. And Blue Sky Alliance representative Shen Yaolin says his organization will remain committed to helping the vulnerable in society. We have more in this report.
Displayed in readiness for the handover, Blue Sky Alliance, a non-governmental organization that is aimed at helping vulnerable people in society, has come to donate 710 kg bags of roller meal, over 40,000 kwacha to government under the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU. Blue Sky Alliance representative says the organization has seen it fit to help government to come to the aid of the vulnerable people due to a natural disaster.
Following the appeal by the Excellency, His Excellency, President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to support the affected members of the community from the flash flood from Lusaka Central, Eastern and Southern Province, and also through the discussion with the Vice President's office can go in a small way to at least to help the people who are affected from the floods.
And Republican Vice President Mutale Nalumango is elated with this gesture. Ms. Nalumango has assured the Blue Sky Alliance that the donation will reach the intended beneficiaries.
For Blue Sky to speak to the people that you are truly in assisting the vulnerable in society. You are not profit-making, but you run to the victims of floods mainly at this point, the victims of floods and other types of floods. We totally appreciate this gesture. It goes a long, long way. It speaks to the core of your calling, I'm using that word, the core of your mission to support the vulnerable. Today, the victims of floods are extremely vulnerable. They need the food, like what you have donated this morning. They need many other things, including blankets. They need some lost even clothes in the floods, particularly flash floods are so difficult to determine and people are caught unaware. They need, for example, in Chama today, there are floods and houses have collapsed. They need tents. So we need a lot.
Has called on other well-wishers to render aid to the flood victims.
And anybody therefore coming on board, whether from the civil society, NGO world, or from private sector, it is something that we appreciate as government.
Esna Tsikas for Hope News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Law Development Commission, ZLDC, has handed over a review report of the British Acts Extension Chapter 10 of the Laws of Zambia to the Ministry of Justice after examining its relevance to the Zambian law legal framework and whether the laws contribute to the development of the country. Despite Zambia gaining independence over 50 years ago, the country is still using some colonial laws. ZLDC Vice Chairperson Munukayumbwa Munyima says the objective of reviewing the relevance of the British Acts extension was to develop a local comprehensive legal framework that would reflect the socio-political values of the Zambian people. And Justice Minister Mlambo Haimbe has applauded the Zambia Law Development Commission for their competence during the law review process, which began in 2017. The minister further said it is now time for Zambia to begin to enact local laws that will support the people of this country. Mwene Muyanga gives us details in this report.
The Zambia Law Development Commission, ZLDC, has submitted a review report of the British Acts Extension Cap 10 of the Laws of Zambia after examining its relevance to the Zambian law legal framework. The colonial legislation contains the Conveying Act of 1911, the Marriage Maintenance Act of 1920, and the Forgery Act, among others. As it stands, Britain, the originator of these laws, has either replaced or amended them, hence the need for Zambia to examine these acts if they are still fit to remain in its statutes.
The objective of the process was to review the relevance of the laws extended to Zambia by virtue of the British Acts Extension Act, Cap 10 of the Laws of Zambia, in order to develop a comprehensive indigenous legal framework that is reflective of the socio-political values of the Zambian people. The objectives of this exercise were to conduct a legislative audit of the British statutes applicable to Zambia and under Cap 10 so as to determine their relevancy and adequacy.
Justice Minister Honorable Mlambo Haimbe has reiterated the need for Zambia to enact its own indigenous laws.
In 2017, as we have heard from your speech earlier, the Ministry of Justice assigned the Zambia Law Development Commission to review Cap 10 because it reflected a colonial legacy and was not reflective of the social political values of the Zambian people in this modern day. Whilst the United Kingdom, where the law was derived from to a large extent, repealed or substantially amended the acts that extended to Zambia, it is unfortunate that as a country we have continued to apply colonial legislation. It is now time, beg pardon, for Zambia to enact its own indigenous laws that are responsive to the Zambian people's aspirations. As a country, we cannot continue relying on laws that were enacted before independence. It is for this reason that we, the new Dawn administration, will continue to propose amendments of laws that are archaic and retrogressive to the development of the country.
According to the report by the Zambia Law Development Commission, ZLDC, some provisions in the Act are still relevant to Zambia and some acts are incompatible and will need to be discarded or amended. Mwene Muyanga reporting for Hope News, Lusaka.
The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, in collaboration with its partners, has formulated the 2022-2026 Communication Strategy. Lands Permanent Secretary Daphne Chawu says the communication policy is aimed at protecting landowners and bridging the gap between men and women on accessing land. Mrs. Chawu says youths, women and the differently abled people, once they have access to the communication strategy, will be enabled. Rather, it will enable them know their rights and secure land without being disadvantaged. The PS has also warned those in the habit of receiving bribes from the public to desist, and she has urged the public to report any one such individual who will be found practicing the acts. This was in a speech she read on behalf of the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources during the launch of the Ministry of Lands Communication Strategy at Pamodzi Hotel in Lusaka. Speaking at the same event, USAID representative Patricia Malasha has disclosed that access to communication strategy is the major driver to solving most land disputes.
The main objective of the National Land Titling Program is to carry out a systematic registration of all property in the country in order to provide security of tenure to property owners. Further, the program is aimed at ensuring that all landowners are issued with certificates of title. Ultimately, this will provide security of tenure to property owners, increase the revenue base for the Treasury, and improve investment in the country. I would like to take this opportunity to inform you all that more than 40% of the certificates of title issued under this program have been to women. However, the Ministry advised that women's access to secure land emanates mainly from from women's lack of correct information on accessing secure land rights. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry is making a commitment to implement the communication strategy to ensure that women, persons who are differently abled, and the youth are aware of where to find the correct information on how to access secure land rights without being taken advantage of. I therefore urge members of the public to report such cases or any cases to the appropriate authorities instead of rushing to the media. The media may expose those ills, but it will not cure corruption, as we all know.
We call upon governments, NGOs, and other broader stakeholders to invest in disseminating information on women land rights across the country. And as USAID Integrated Land and Resource Governance Program, we remain supportive of this. We are glad that other partners in the land sector are here today who can share messages and materials, and that we can continue to work together in future with civil society organizations, with the private sector, with government and community, and our traditional leaders to improve Zambia's land governance system.
Just now, let's take our first break. When we do return, we'll turn our focus to some education news. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Announcement from the Zambia Adventist Publishing House. We have moved to a new location. We wish to inform our esteemed customers that we have moved to a new location. Our new address is plot number 9221, corner of Independence Avenue and Bama Roads, on Lusaka Conference premises. This move is part of our ongoing effort to better serve our customers and provide a more convenient shopping experience. Please note that our phone numbers, email addresses, and websites will remain the same. Our office hours will also remain the same. We are grateful for your continued business and look forward to welcoming you to our new location. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact us on 0973 714242 or 0978 447469.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. Now, education news. Government has handed over a girls' dormitory to Mtandaza Secondary School in Kapoche constituency of Sinda district in Eastern Province, a project that was constructed using the Constituency Development Funds, CDF. The handover ceremony was witnessed by Sinda District Commissioner, Town Council Secretary and Sinda Council Chairperson. Sinda District Commissioner David Tembo, who was the guest of honor during the handover ceremony, said the construction of such an infrastructure will help decongest bed spaces that were a challenge for a long time now. Mr. Tembo has expressed concern also over theft and domestic animals that roam around Mtandaza Secondary School premises. He noted with sadness that a lot of belongings for pupils are being stolen often during lessons by local people who stroll the dormitories without being noticed. He says due to that situation, girls lack concentration when in class in fear of their belongings being stolen by the local residents. Sambo David gives us details in this report.
Imagine sleeping in such dilapidated dormitory block can not only be health hazard but also punishment to the learners. This is girls' dormitory of Mtandaza Secondary School in Sinda District of Eastern Province, where a girl child has to spend the whole night persisting to acquire quality education. For years, they have been subjected to this punishment of sleeping in this dilapidated dormitory. As a result of this punishment, some have resorted to stop attending classroom, while others have been married off. Though they say cry may only be at night, but joy comes in the morning, as witnessed by Sinda Town Council as they hand over the newly constructed girls' dormitory school at a total cost of 150,000 kwacha. Sinda District Commissioner David Tembo, who was the guest of honor during the handover ceremony of the newly constructed girls' dormitory, said the construction of such infrastructure will motivate learners to put much needed effort.
Ours is just to appreciate you parents for having initiated the idea of starting the dormitory, and then later on the local government came in to supplement and complete the project. There we are witnesses in all the 15 villages surrounding Mtandaza that where there's unity of purpose, development is guaranteed. Today government has got a lot of programs. One of them is to fight any violation against a girl child. And one of the things that could subject a girl child into violations or devices or illicities is when they are not being taken care of. We are in Horizon trying to see how best we can turn in future Mtandaza to be a boarding school. As you are submit bearing in mind that Mtandaza at some point must be a boarding school. Schools are being built. Schools are being supported. The issues of desks will be things of the past by the end of this year.
Sinda Town Council Secretary John Machai, who was represented by Sinda Town Council Treasurer Precaria Mwanza, said the condition of a girl child needed a quick attention by the council.
There was a need for us to give a girl child a dormitory, and that has come to reality today. So we are very grateful today, and we are happy that today a girl child, the shame has been removed from you. The respect and the honor has been bestowed to you. So the project behind us, Guest of Honor, is a CDF project.
Both Sinda District Education Board Secretary Feston Mtonga and Sinda Council Chairperson Julia Speedy had this to say.
Allowing our girls to go and rent in the villages, we are exposing them to a lot of danger. When the initiative came to start constructing this dormitory here, as an office we felt very good because we knew that our problem is being resolved.
Onse amena nakala namaganizo kuti chitukuko ichi chipite pasogolo. Tonse amene tinayika kukwanja ndikuti tina maganizo ya umurungu.
Lyda Nyirenda, she is a head girl at Mtandaza Secondary School and now experienced some challenges faced with.
Walking long distances to and from school, poor attendance by girls due to lack of accommodation in school, high levels of teenage pregnancies, negative attitude by parents towards girls' education. By virtue of you bringing us this piece of infrastructure, we, the pupils of Mtandaza Day Secondary School, are very delighted and very grateful. We will now be sleeping in a conducive, well-ventilated and spacious environment.
Seeing is believing. You don't need to be told about constituency development fund CDF projects in Sinda district. The most hard-working and fast economically growing district in Eastern Province is becoming the hub and center of CDF attraction to neighboring districts and national level at large. Sambo David, Sinda district, Eastern Province.
Still in education news, Evelyn Horn College Student Union President Regan Mpundu has called on students to desist from examination malpractice so as not to risk them being banned or expelled from school. In an interview with Hope News, Mpundu says students should try by all means to be honest during examinations. Meanwhile, Mpundu has confirmed that the 13 students who were arrested yesterday have been released and that the student union body is working towards lobbying school management and the Ministry of Science and Technology to consider reducing the 3-year examination ban for the said students. Yesterday, 13 students from Evelyn Horn College were arrested for the offense of conduct likely to cause breach of peace. The students, who included 3 females, were apprehended from the Ministry of Science and Technology headquarters, where they gathered with placards around 12:30 hours. According to the Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson, Danny Mwale, the students were all suspended from college for a period of 3 years after being caught in examination malpractice. The students then elected to air out their grievances to the ministry for not allowing them write their examinations without permission.
So what happened is that our fellow friends, meaning the students, went to protest for a reduction of years because their results were nullified. And when they were protesting, it happened that they used some languages which were not pleased by the Ministry of Technology. That's how they invited the police from Woodlands to take action. And of course, they were picked, of which they spent a night today from Hoodlands. And as it stands, they are out, they are in school. Well, we've not received a report from the ministry. We are pushing that we do it in a good manner, of which we want to help our fellow students request, if possible, if at all the ministry can reduce the number of years for them. My advice to my fellow students is that let's by all means abstain from malpractice, because this has happened as a result of malpractice. The government has made it clear that once you are caught with papers in the exams, your results will be nullified and you'll be given 3 years to resume your school. So let's abstain from malpractice. Let's study as the reason why we are here. Let's not resort to use other means of us getting to another level of education. Yes.
We now take our final break. When we do return, we take a look at agricultural news. Just stay with us.
Is the fast-paced world making you miss your favorite Top Story programs? Download the Star Times own app from Google Play or Apple Store. Then link your decoder to the app and watch TV anytime, anywhere. Open the app and click on Me to sign up. Click the decoder service. Then enter your smart card number and last 6 digits of your decoder serial number and click link. Now you can change bouquet and make payments for your decoder using the app. Download the app now.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. And now for the rest of the news. Vice President Mutale Nalumango says this year the country is likely to yield a poor harvest of crops due to the dry spells and flash floods recorded in the country recently. Mrs. Nalumango says this will attract government to support the people that are in the areas where they are experiencing dry spells and flash floods. She has since called on the corporate world to come on board and help government support the victims, as government alone cannot manage to meet the needs of the victims.
Now have a situation where crop was wilted in many parts of the country. Like if you go to the Kwembe Valley, it is another, from floods to crop wilting. Even parts of Lusaka may not have a good crop because of the dry spells that we have experienced. So the end is not by the end of rains. We still have many other issues. And that is why the President of the Republic, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has called on all of us as Zambians to do whatever we can.
The provincial administration in Southern Province has called on the Swedish and Finnish cooperating partners to upscale activities implemented by tree nursery associations in the province. Southern Province Permanent Secretary Naman Monze said the tree nursery associations should diversify into various livelihood interventions such as citrus and other tree species if they are to mitigate the shocks of climate change. Dr. Monze was speaking when a delegation of the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, SIDA, and senior staff from the Finnish Embassy of Zambia paid a courtesy call on him in Choma District, the provincial capital for Southern Province. And FAO country representative Suzy Filippini says it is gratifying for FAO and donors to see the alternative livelihood activities undertaken by tree nursery associations in the province under the Forest and Farm Facility Program in Zambia. Ms. Filippini said the best practices implemented by the tree nursery associations should be upscaled for sustainability of the program.
The provincial administration in the Southern Province has called on the Swedish and Finnish cooperating partners to upscale activities implemented by tree nursery associations in the province. Southern Province Permanent Secretary Namani Monze said the tree nursery associations ought to diversify into various livelihood interventions such as citrus and other tree species if they are to mitigate the shocks of climate change. Dr. Monze was speaking when a delegation of the Food and Agriculture Organization, the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, and senior staff from the Finnish Embassy of Zambia paid a courtesy call on him in Choma.
We will work closely, Provincial Forestry Office, Provincial Administration, our partners, Swedish, Finnish partners, to see how this support can be given to them, because I think what is important is knowledge, and they already have it. They also need to grow in their knowledge, that is technical support, which you are already providing. So as government, we will move in and provide them the resources. For example, a borehole, that can be a community borehole. Around that community borehole, we can expand the nurseries.
Suzy Filippini is FAO country representative.
The Dodans, the cooperating partners, for them it's gratifying to see that. But at the same time, we need to think about the sustainability of these activities, how those best practices can be upscaled.
And program manager for the Global Support Forest and Farm Facility, Emma Techner, from CEDA Stockholm, said beneficiaries are food security and promoted environmental sustainability.
Activities that are implemented here are making a great change for the beneficiaries in this area. We see a very high relevance of this program, both for poverty reduction but also for environmental sustainability.
Reporting, Lawrence Kabutu in Choma.
And finally, let's take a look at some animal and human conflict item. The Ministry of Tourism has deployed warders from the Department of Wildlife and National Parks to offer protection to both human life and the 7 elephants that have caused havoc and death of at least 2 female adults and injuring others in some parts of Southern Province. An estimated 7 elephants were first reported on the 15th of March 2023 in Joma and Pemba districts, where elephants have been moving from one area to another, especially in farmlands and surrounding villages. According to the ministry, the jumbos are believed to have split into 2 groups of 4 and 3, and officers deployed in the area have continued to monitor their movements. The affected areas include Neganega, Mazaboga, Choma and Pemba, Batoka, Chisegesi, Kalomo and Chirundu, where elephants in separate incidents have destroyed crops and unfortunately injured 1 person and killed 2. The Department of National Parks and Wildlife is concerned with the behavior by some members of the communities who are mobbing and stoning the elephants in order to scare them and end up agitating the jumbos. The department has since advised those affected in the human-animal conflict to allow safe passage for elephants into the protective areas. The ministry also wishes to advise the public to ignore social media reports suggesting that the Department of National Parks and Wildlife has controlled 2 elephants as they are all falsehoods.
And also in Pemba, where elephants were moving from one area to another, especially in the farm and surrounding villages. But it's also reported that these 7 elephants, what happened now is that they split into 2 groups. One there were 4 and another group there were 3. And we deployed officers in the field to be able to monitor their movements. And on mid-February actually, in Kalomo, around the areas like Spatunyama, Officers from Livingstone were also deployed to assess the extent of crop damage. As you know, that is what has been reported on 4 different occasions, but they managed to scare them away. But when they were reported in mid-Feb, on 19th March, these elephants reappeared again in Chief Spatunyama's area, and where 2 people, as we have said, unfortunately were killed as part of the group were mobbing the animals. Now, when the elephants, of course, come into the area, walk through the corridors, and they are moving from one park to the other, because they are suspecting that these could have moved from Lower Zambezi, around Chirundu area there, or they could have even come from Zimbabwe. As you know, elephants around this time, they are roaming a lot, and they might actually go all the way.
As we end the bulletin, let's recap on stories that made headlines. Blue Sky Alliance has donated 710 kg bags of Rolamil to the Office of the Vice President meant for flood victims. The Zambia Law Development Commission, ZLDC, has handed over a report on the British Act's extension to the Ministry of Justice. Mtandaza Secondary School in Eastern Province has received a complete girls' dormitory constructed using Constituency Development Funds, CDF. Vice President Mtalena Lumango says the country is likely to experience a poor harvest of crops due to dry spells and flash floods the country has experienced. And the Department of National Parks and Wildlife has deployed warders to protect lives of people and elephants that are causing havoc in Southern Province. Thank you so much for your time. We end our bulletin just here. On behalf of the entire studio and production team, I'm Bright Sinkozi. My sign language interpreter is Sharon Akfuna. God bless you even as you continue watching Hope Channel Zambia, television that changes lives. Bye for now.